You can go to Everglades National Park and be hard-pressed to find a single mammal there, a single squirrel, a single rabbit, fox, deer. The pythons have just been taking out everything that they can get their mouths around.
Large reptiles already capable of doing damage may be more dangerous than anyone thought. The plot is playing out right here in Florida.
Deep in the Florida swamps, cameras have just captured an aftermath that science cannot explain. We all know about the giant pythons taking over the Everglades. We know they wiped out nearly 90% of the mammals. But the newest footage reveals a twist no one predicted. The python population, once exploding, is suddenly collapsing. Something new is out there, something invisible, and it's rewriting the rules of the jungle. The pythons may have started the war, but they are not the ones finishing it.
Species are under a unique threat from one particular invasive species that threatens the survival and the balance of the whole ecosystem, and that is the dreaded Burmese python. And you see right there.
The paradise before the silence. The Florida Everglades was never just a swamp. It was a living, breathing river of grass. An ancient world of shimmering wetlands stretching across 1.5 million acres. It protected millions from floods, filtered drinking water, and fed entire cities with its quiet resilience. It was valued at over $31 billion a year. But its worth wasn't measured in money. It was measured in life. Flocks of wading birds once filled the sky like drifting storms. Panthers stalked the tree islands.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said he wants to fight the invasive snake that's eating its way through the Everglades. Pythons are not native to the area, and they are disturbing our ecosystem and threatening biodiversity.
Burmese pythons have done unprecedented damage to the ecosystem in South Florida. And experts say these invasive snakes continue to move farther north.
Rivers teemed with turtles, rabbits, foxes, bobcats. And then the sky turned black. In August 1992, Hurricane Andrew roared toward Miami with 165 mile-per-hour winds. It didn't just destroy homes. It tore open a reptile breeding facility deep in the chaos. When the storm passed, an unknown number of Burmese pythons had slipped into the swamp. But Andrew wasn't the only disaster. Throughout the 90s, the Burmese python became the exotic pet of choice. Tiny, cheap, and cool. Until, within a few short years, that cute little pet turned into a 10-foot, 50-pound apex predator. Overwhelmed owners did the unthinkable. They drove to the edge of the Everglades and set them free. They didn't know it, but they had ignited an ecological time bomb.
Pythons have been, eating rabbits and other small mammals and other reptiles and, smaller alligators.
Of many endangered species. A single female python can lay up to 100 eggs at a time, and they have no natural predators in the Florida Everglades.
For years, the danger went unnoticed. The pythons thrived in perfect secrecy. A warm paradise, endless prey, no natural predators. The Everglades became a snake's Eden, a world where one super predator ate everything that could not see it coming. They struck from the darkness. They breathed underwater for half an hour. They detected heat with surgical precision, and they multiplied. A single female can lay up to 100 eggs. With no checks, no balances, and no enemies, their numbers exploded. Estimates now range from 100,000 to over 300,000 snakes, and the Everglades began to fall silent. A landmark study revealed the horror. Raccoons down 99%, opossums down 98%, bobcats down 87%. Entire species didn't decline, they vanished. Biologists described driving for miles without seeing a single wild animal. The Everglades, once bursting with life, was collapsing from the ground up. But the attempts to stop the invasion were only just beginning, and they would prove horrifyingly inadequate. And as Florida prepared to fight back, no one realized they were already being outmaneuvered.
Python Challenge kicks off tomorrow, and the purpose is to remove the invasive Burmese python from the Everglades.
The python hunting. I think in Florida now, anyone can hunt a python, and you get a prize too. Like you get money, then you get serious money. I don't know if it's like $1,000. Huge.
Like, where the is that place?
Hunting ghosts in a dying swamp. Desperate to fight the invaders, Florida launched the Python Challenge, a statewide call for anyone brave enough to enter the swamp and capture the monsters. Hundreds showed up with snake hooks, traps, and bravado. The 2024 challenge captured 195 snakes. It sounded impressive. It made great headlines. It looked heroic. But mathematically, it was nothing. Out of hundreds of thousands of snakes, removing a few hundred was like trying to empty a lake with a shot glass.
South Florida has hired 25 top hunters to capture and kill the snakes. A nearly 17-foot-long python was killed last week. Now it is the longest captured so far in this program.
This is the 9th year state agencies have released Eastern Indigo Snakes back into the wild in the Florida Panhandle. Those 42 snakes were bred and hatched right here in Central Florida at the Orion Center for Indigo Conservation in Houston.
A Florida woman beat out 933 other competitors and was crowned the 2025 Python Challenge champ.
That's her right behind us. Now, she caught 60 Burmese pythons over 10 days out in the Everglades.
Florida upgraded its strategy. They hired elite hunters, professionals paid hourly to stalk levees beneath the relentless sun. Since 2017, these hunters have removed over 23,000 pythons. Still, less than 5% of the estimated population. For every snake captured, dozens more hatched unseen beneath the grass. Technology came next. High-resolution thermal drones, useless. The ground was too hot, the snakes too cold. To a thermal camera, a python looked like a rock. Next came robotic heat-emitting rabbits, decoys designed to lure ambush predators. The pythons ignored them completely. They were waiting for real prey.
Tool is being unleashed in Florida's Everglades to hunt Burmese pythons. All right, take a look at this right here. Scientists have deployed 120 robot rabbits. Yeah, they're designed to look, move, and even smell like real marsh rabbits.
Now, the high-tech solution, Florida is deploying robotic rabbits to help capture invasive Burmese pythons in the Everglades.
The only strategy that worked was the Judas Snake program. Release, attract male, and let him lead hunters to breeding females. Effective, but painfully slow. And then came the whispers. Hunters claiming the snakes were growing wary. They avoided human paths. They slipped away before headlights reached them. Were the predators adapting? Learning? Humans were losing the war. Badly.
As of Tuesday, 50 pythons have been killed by the hunters. Florida's Wildlife Commission has also announced new prizes and plans to hire additional contractors to boost python removal from state-managed lands.
The parasite in the dark. Scientists examining native Florida snakes began noticing something strange. Harmless species, garter snakes, water snakes, pygmy rattlesnakes, were turning up weak, starved, struggling to breathe. Inside their lungs, they found worms, dozens of tiny writhing parasites. The culprit, Raeliatiella orientalis, the Asian snake lungworm. It had arrived with the pythons, but the pythons, adapted over millennia, carried it with little consequence.
Now, scientists have discovered a new problem. The python actually carries a parasite that also destroys native wildlife.
Asian parasite is infecting dozens of snake species in Florida, now leading to some declining numbers.
The native snakes? They had no defense. The parasite's life cycle is a nightmare. Infected pythons leave microscopic eggs in their waste. Cockroaches eat the waste. Frogs eat the cockroaches. Native snakes eat the frogs. And the larvae burrow straight into the lungs. There, they feed. They multiply. They choke the snake slowly from the inside. Researchers found snakes dying with lungworms crawling out of their mouths. Then came the revelation that changed everything. The parasite no longer needs pythons to spread. It has jumped species. It is now moving from native snake to native snake on its own. Even if every python vanished tomorrow, the parasite would remain, slithering silently through the ecosystem. The return of the emperor.
Very large reptiles already capable of doing damage may be more dangerous than anyone thought. The plot is playing out right here in Florida.
News broke like a thunderclap. Florida was releasing more snakes into the wild. People thought it was a joke. Social media exploded with mockery. But these weren't invaders. They were royalty. The Eastern Indigo Snake, North America's longest native snake, stretching up to 9 feet of shimmering blue-black iridescence. Beautiful, powerful, fearless, and known as the Emperor of the Forest.
Dozens of snakes were released into the wild in North Florida to eat other invasive snakes.
Yeah, okay, the ones that were set free were raised in Lake County and then brought up there.
The indigo has a unique gift. It is immune to the venom of pit vipers, rattlesnakes, copperheads, cottonmouths. None can stop it. And its favorite meal is other snakes. But decades of habitat loss wiped it from North Florida. Conservationists spent years rebuilding longleaf pine forests, restoring gopher tortoise burrows, and carefully breeding indigos in captivity. Finally, they released them. And then, in 2023, trail cameras captured something extraordinary. 2 tiny hatchlings, indigo babies born in the wild. For the first time in 50 years, the emperor had returned. But while indigos reclaimed the north, something just as unbelievable was happening in the south. The victims of the Everglades were beginning to fight back. The predators awaken. In Big Cypress National Preserve, researchers tracked a massive python named Loki. One day, the tracker went still.
Over 50 pounds and 13 feet long, but dead, with its neck ripped apart, buried under the brush. Somehow, something killed this apex predator.
Very quickly, we figured out he's dead, and it turned into a bit of this is a crime scene to some degree. CSI crime scene wildlife.
Ian Bartosek was on a regularly scheduled tracking mission over the winter, using one of the Conservancy of Southwest Florida's 40-plus scout snakes.
Hunters found his carcass and were stunned. His head had been ripped off. A trail camera captured the culprit, a bobcat. A 25-pound native predator had taken down a 50-pound python. It shouldn't have been possible. But it wasn't an isolated event. Alligators began ambushing young pythons. Florida panthers were seen attacking them. Predators that once avoided the invaders were learning their weaknesses. This wasn't luck. This was adaptation.
Conservancy's python team, with the help of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, known in the building as
a bit of a special forces unit, if you will,
quickly put up a trail cam because usually predators come back the very next day.
Walking across the log, returning to the scene of the crime was an adult bobcat.
A wildlife biologist called it a score for the home team, but the truth was more profound. After 2 decades of devastation, the Everglades was beginning to strike back. Yet the scale of the war remained staggering. One bobcat couldn't undo the damage. A few panthers couldn't restore balance. But nature was shifting. The battlefield was changing, and a collision was coming because the indigo snakes were moving south and the Burmese pythons were moving north. And soon, these 2 titans would meet.
The biologists at the Conservancy of Southwest Florida say that they found this dead snake about 15 miles into the deep part of the Everglades. Now, they say they've seen interactions like this before, but believe that it means the ecosystem is fighting back against invasives.
The coming showdown. The Eastern Indigo, immune to venom, fearless, and built to dominate smaller snakes, now roams areas it hasn't seen in half a century. The Burmese python, massive, powerful, and responsible for ecological collapse, pushes steadily north. Their territories are on a collision course. No one knows what will happen. Can a 9-foot indigo take on a 20-foot python? Can the emperor reclaim the throne? Or will the lungworm parasite, spreading faster than either snake, wipe them both out before the battle even begins?
Indigo snake is a large natural predator for a lot of animals in the areas where they live. They eat anything that moves in front of them pretty much, including birds, small rodents, even other snakes, including venomous snakes. So they help to balance the ecosystems.
The footage from Florida's swamps tells a complex story. It's not just ruin, not just loss, it's resilience. Bobcats refusing to be prey, panthers reclaiming their forests, a long-lost king returning to his ancestral lands. The Everglades isn't dead, it's transforming. The war that began with a hurricane and a handful of exotic pets has become a multi-front battle between invaders, predators, parasites, and an ecosystem fighting for its life. And the next chapter will be the most violent yet. Because when the emperor meets the invader, only one will rule the swamp. So who wins this ultimate showdown? Will the indigo snake rise as Florida's unlikely savior? Or will the parasite tear through both species before balance can be restored? Let me know your prediction in the comments below. And if you want more deep dive nature mysteries, hit that like button and subscribe. The swamp still has secrets left to tell.